who are the locks to make the roster at every single position for the Carolina Panthers right before training camp. I'm going to head into that in this video. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe. Training camp is in 4 days. So I'm about to be giving you all a ton of content for training camp, just giving you all a bunch of updates. Let's head right into every single position group for the Carolina Panthers right before training camp. Okay, on offense, obviously, let's start with quarterback. This is pretty simple. I think we're going to keep 2 players here at this position. Obviously, y'all know the lock for me is going to be Bryce Young and Andy Dalton. Those are simple. I think those are the 2 quarterbacks we're going to keep heading into training camp, and I think we're only going to keep 2. So that means basically who's on the bubble. That's going to be Jack Plummer and Ethan Garbers. Jack Plummer heading into year 3. Obviously, you might say he has an argument to make this team just because maybe we want to keep 3 quarterbacks. But now, as we see in the league, a lot of teams just like to keep 2 quarterbacks because it's just easier to bring on a bunch of quarterbacks, especially if you have 2 injuries throughout the season. It's a lot easier to just bring on another quarterback during the season if you end up having 2 injuries, and it just saves up a roster spot. Obviously, 3 quarterbacks kind of makes no sense because you only need to play 1 at this position every single week. So keeping 3 is kind of a waste of a roster spot, especially if you have a lot of talented guys at certain positions, and we have a lot of guys in position battles right now. Just keeping 2 makes sense right now, and the 2 you have are very good. This is a very good room. Even if these are your only 2 quarterbacks in this room, it's a very good room. You have your starter with Bryce, and you have a good, just older mentor for your young guy with Andy Dalton. So I think we're going to keep 2, and these are the 2 that I think we're going to keep. The next position is running back, and I think we're going to keep 3, and I think we're going to keep 3 or 4. I don't know exactly the number right now, which is why, as you can see, I think the locks for me right now are simple. It's Chuba Hubbard, it's Rico Dowdle, and it's Trevor Etienne, the rookie out of Georgia. Jonathan Brooks is on IR, so he's going to be out for the season, so he does not count as a roster spot. If he did, obviously Raheem Blackshear would not be on the roster. We're not going to keep 5 running backs. That would make no sense. But because Raheem Blackshear brings a lot of special teams benefits and pluses to this team, we've seen that last couple years. He's been on the roster, and he's brought a ton of special teams impact. So with that being said, of course, 3 running backs, it could be the move. A lot of people are saying maybe we don't keep Raheem because there's this running back room 1 to 3 is very talented. You don't need to keep 4 in a way because Raheem's not going to really get any time. But because of his special teams ability, I think there's a chance. But that's one to look at in training camp with this position is Raheem Blackshear. And if this staff really likes him, continues to like him, and continues to value him on special teams, because obviously getting Jimmy Horn, getting some guys in the draft, there's a lot of guys that can replace him in terms of special teams. Okay, so it's very interesting, which is why I put him on the bubble, because he is a guy that I think could obviously make the team because of that ability that he does have, but also there's a chance that we only want to keep 3 and we value 3 guys on this roster in 2025. The next position is wide receiver. I think we're going to keep 6, but I have only 5 locks right now. I'm going to argue these right now. Of course, T-Mac number 1, Adam Thielen number 2, Xavier Legette number 3, Coker 4, and Jimmy Horn number 5. I think Jimmy Horn's a lock in my opinion. Obviously, he's a rookie. A lot of people are saying, what if he's not a lock? I mean, he brings a different skill set. Out of everybody in this room, he brings a different skill set. It kind of would make no sense if he wasn't a lock. It kind of would make no sense if he didn't make the team either. I just would rather him over David Moore and Hunter Renfrow because he brings a different skill set, the speed that he has, the youth that he has. It just would make no sense why he would not be a lock in my opinion. Jalen Coker is a lock as well. We've heard a lot of things about him not being a lock right now. That's stupid. If he's not a lock and there's a genuine question about Jalen Coker being on the roster heading into 2025 in training camp, I have a concern about this regime. I'm not going to lie, because this is a guy that came in as an undrafted rookie and put up almost 500 yards in 11 games. What more do you want from him? Like, he's a lock to make this roster. I think he's the second best receiver in this room as well. Okay, you can argue with me in the comments. I think he's the second best receiver in this room. I think he's going to prove to be the second best receiver in this room in 2025. He's a lock for me. There's really no debate about it. And then, of course, on the bubble for me is going to be David Moore, Hunter Renfrow, and Kobe Hudson. That's the last spot right there. Out of those 3 guys is going to be the last spot. This room is deeper than we've seen in years. This room has not been this deep in a long time. You have 5 locks and you have 3 guys that you can choose from. Obviously, the 2 names that you're going to speak about are going to be David Moore and Hunter Renfrow. Those are going to be the 2 guys that really are the names to look at in training camp. Kobe Hudson is just a young player. This fan base likes him. He's a fun guy to look at in terms of special teams, but are we really going to keep 8 receivers or 7 receivers? I don't think so. I think 6 is the match here, especially because you already have a special teams guy in Jimmy Horn, which we're probably going to use him a lot of at that spot this upcoming season. The offensive line, I think we're going to keep 9 guys. So as you can see, we're up to 20 guys now out of 53. At left tackle, you have Icky, and And you have Brady Christensen, of course. Brady Christensen is a very versatile player. He can play guard, he can play tackle. It's going to be a tackle this year because you have obviously Chandler Zavala there at left guard with Damian Lewis. That's four guys. Then you have Austin Corbett and Cade Mays. Arguably the most intriguing position battle this upcoming training camp is the center position, which with Austin Corbett and Cade Mays. So I'm very excited to see how that kind of shapes out here in the next coming weeks. But those two are making the roster because you have your backup and your starter there. Then you have Robert Hunt. Of course, you have Chandler Zavala there who can play left guard and right guard. He's your backup guard no matter what. Then you have Taylor Moton and Josh Nyman there as your starting and backup right tackle. So those are my 9 guys I think we're going to keep there at offensive line. We could keep 10 maybe, just depending on how we feel about Ja'Tyre Carter and Jared Kingston. Jared Kingston's very intriguing player I think we should watch out for in camp to potentially make the roster, but at the same time, I think we're only going to keep 9 because of the way the numbers work. 9 guys, and these are 9 guys. I think these are the 9 guys that are going to be locked in as well. So there was really no question about who's going to make the team. It's really about who's going to be starting there at center with Austin Corbett and Cade Mays. Tight ends. I think we're going to keep 2 guys, but there's a chance we could keep 3 just because of the fact that Tommy Tremble is going to be on PUP list to start the season, so he's not going to count as a roster spot to start, at all. So the locks for me are going to be JT and Mitchell Evans, and of course, there's obviously guys as Dominic Daphne there on the bubble. In my opinion, there's also been some names thrown around as guys we could bring on to the roster, which is not out of the realm of possibilities before the season starts. Some older guys that we could bring on to get that 3rd spot, but 2 tight ends is kind of a little bit, which is why I think there's a chance we could keep 3 because only having 2 tight ends, especially whenever you like to run 2 tight end sets sometimes, and you could do that with JT Mitchell Evans. If you get an injury there, what are you going to do? Who's the 3rd guy going to be? That's just something that I don't think we want to worry about. So I think there's a chance we could keep 3 here, tight ends here, but I think there's only 2 locks right now, and that's JT and Mitchell Evans. And Dominic Daphne, just one of those other guys there in the back end of the roster, are going to be some guys to be intrigued about and look at in training camp. Heading to the defense side of the ball, interior defensive line. This is my favorite position on this team right now. This or running back. And the locks for me are simple. I think we're going to keep 6 guys. Okay, just because of the fact that you need to keep 6 guys for depth and purposes. So I think we're going to keep 6 guys. There's a chance we could keep 5 for numbers purposes, but I think because you have 5 locks and there's another 6 guy here that is young and talented, or just an older guy that you can have on your roster, I think 6 is the way to go because there's too much talent in this room. So my locks for me are Derrick Brown, Tershawn Warren, Bobby Brown, Ashawn Robinson, and Cam Jackson, the rookie out of Florida. He's a lock for me. I don't think Cam Jackson is not going to make the roster. He brings a different skill set, just like Jimmy Horn. Again, they're later round picks, but they bring different skill set. He's just a massive guy in the middle. You want to have him on your roster just because of he's just a different skill set for your team. Okay, and then of course you have one more player out of these 3 players I think that could make the roster. It's not a guarantee, but I think we should keep 6. You have Shy Tuttle, LeBron Ray, and Jaden Crumedy. I would lean Jaden Crumedy being the guy that I would bring on because he played a little bit last year. Was not terrible, of course, as we needed him to play last year with a bunch of injuries. He wasn't terrible, and he's just young. I would rather Jaden Crumedy over Shy Tuttle and LeBron Ray, of course. Another guy we could keep an eye on, but this is another one of the positions to watch out for in camp because Cam Jackson, he's going to have a big impact in terms of Shy Tuttle spot, okay? Because a lot of people probably think Shy Tuttle is going to make the roster because he's an older veteran. He's already has the roster spot. But I think if Cam Jackson comes out and really makes an impact in camp, being a young guy, a different skill set, his spot could be in jeopardy, especially for one of these other younger guys with Jaden Crumedy and LeBron Ray. Pass rushers. Okay, this is very interesting because I don't know how the starters are looking right now. Training camp is going to make a big factor into what the starters are going to be at this position. Obviously, we have our 2 rookies, Princely and Nick Scorton. Are one of them going to start? Are both going to start? Are none going to start? That's interesting. I think right now DJ Wonnum is probably going to be a starter no matter what, just because of his pass rush ability. He has the best pass rush bag right now in terms of experience in the NFL. So I think he's probably going to be a starter there. He's a lock. Pat Jones is a lock, and DJ Johnson is a lock as well. I think we're only keeping 5 guys here. Amara Barno is the next best player. He just hasn't been able to tap in his potential. He hasn't been a very solid player for us at all. Since he's been a Panther. So I think Amara Barno is going to be an odd man out here in this room. But the biggest question to watch out for in camp, obviously, is who's going to take advantage of this room and step out as the starters. Because right now, I think DJ Wonnum is probably going to be a starter off the rip. But then are you going to have Pat Jones there next to him, the 2 Minnesota guys, or are you going to have one of the rookies come out and play? And it's just going to be very interesting to see as we watch training camp at this position. It's going to be one of the most intriguing positions in terms of battles and the storylines. Inside linebackers. Okay, middle linebackers, very interesting position. As y'all know, one of my worst. This is the worst position on the team right now. The experience is not that good. It's very mid, and the young guy has a lot of work to do. With very raw with Trevor Wallace. So, but I think we're going to keep 4 guys in this room because you have to with the injury history we've had. 4 guys make sense. Okay, you're gonna have 2 starters and 2 backups. It makes perfect sense. Trevor Wallace, Josie Jewell, Christian Roseboom, and Claudin Sherrillis. Obviously, we brought Christian Roseboom from LA this offseason. A very solid player, very underrated player. I think right now he's our best linebacker, but I rated this based off how I think the team views every position. Right? You saw Jalen Coker was number 4 for me. He would be number 3 for me above Xavier Legette in terms of how I view the players right now. Obviously, we know how this staff views Trevor Wallace, and we know he's young and they're intrigued by him. They drafted him. He's in year 2. They're going to view him highly, obviously. So he's number 1 in this room. He's a lock for sure. Josie Joe's a lock. Christian Roseboom's a lock, and Claudin Sherrillis. Nothing to be excited about there with Claudin, but just a body. You need to have him there because of the injury history we've had. Trevor Wallace was injured last year for a little bit, chunk of time. So you need to have 4 guys here, and it makes sense. And obviously down there I put Jacoby Wyndham. I guess he could have a roster spot there for Claudin Sherrillis. It could be a battle there. We'll see in training camp, but I think Claudin playing a little bit last year, being a factor, in terms of being a body last year, I think he has the edge over Jacoby in that sense. So those are my 4 guys. I think we're going to keep 4 as well at middle linebacker. Next position is cornerback. I think we're going to keep 5 guys, okay? And as you can see, I only have 3 locks on this roster right now. I don't even have 4. I only have 3 locks, which is JC, Mike Jackson, and Shaw Smith-Wade. Love those 3 guys. I think Shaw has immense potential. I think he could be the second best corner at the end of the season this year in the slot. But I think we're going to keep 2 more guys, which means I have 3 guys on the bubble, which is going to be another very intriguing position to look at in camp. You have Shamar Bartholomew, who played a little bit last year at corner towards later on the season. He's going to have a little bit of edge in that sense. But you also have MJ Devonshire, who we picked up from the Raiders, who is young. He's only 24 years old. He's a slot corner who can really just be a versatile player for us. Of course, did not really play last year as a rookie. Did not really play that much last year. He's a young player who has potential, has the size in the slot. Shaw's our only slot guy right now. So he's a guy to look at because he's our only slot guy right now. If he goes down, who are you going to play in the slot? Shamar is really an outside guy in that sense, as we saw last year. And then Caleb Evans is also got to look at in terms of a body. There's 2 guys out of these 3 are going to make the roster, I think. I think Shamar right now has the edge, but I think MJ Devonshire is a very intriguing player to look at in terms of just he's young. He could play in the slot. He'll be our backup slot player. A lot of people are saying he can make the roster just because of Shaw. There could be battle there. I think if he makes a roster, it'll be depth purposes, not anything of there's a battle, because obviously y'all know I love Shaw Smith-Wade. I think he has immense potential. I think he proved enough last year to be our starter at slot. I don't think he's going to have really any comp against MJ, but I think he brings a good youth, good size there in the slot for us in 2025. But it's going to be very interesting what we do here in this position. The last 2 spots I think are going to be very intriguing in training camp. Last position is safety. I think we're going to keep 4, and I have the 4 locks here. Trayvon Moore, Damani Richardson, Lathan Ransom, and Nick Scott. I think we're going to keep 4, and I think this pretty simply, those are the 4 locks we're going to have. We already have them on a roster unless we bring somebody in here later, but I think we already would have done it, brought another safety in if we wanted to. So I think these are our 4 guys we're going to keep. Obviously, Trayvon Moore is going to be our safety 1. Versatile, going to be one of the best players on the team, I think, at strong safety. Then you have Damani Richardson. I think he's going to take that leap. And you have Lathan Ransom, the rookie. Backup strong safety, Nick Scott, trash. But he's a body. You have to keep guys. So as you can see, I have 46 guys out of 53 right now. Of course, you have the kicker, the punter, that's 48. You have 5 more guys. Usually, you keep those guys for special teamers. Usually, and as I saw running back, I didn't count 3 guys. So you got 1 more if you want to have Raheem. So that's 49 out of 53. That's 4 more guys there that I didn't count. A lot of those guys can be special teamers. It just depends. We can just throw another guy there. A lot of those uncertainty positions that you guys saw with what I had, we could add 1 more player. Right corner, we could add 3 more with roster spots. It just depends on what this staff wants to do. But as I saw, I had 4 more spots left there out of the 53. I was pretty close. It was kind of hard because those other 4 spots could go to really special teamers, just random guys, or they could actually be extra players. At corner, we could keep those 3 guys I mentioned, not only just 2. Safety, we could add another guy. It just depends on what we do during training camp. But that's kind of how I shaped up this 53-man roster right before training camp, and it's gonna be very interesting, man. This is very intriguing roster. Every position is very intriguing in its own right. There's battles in a lot of these positions. Um, just everything, right? And I'm very excited to see how this shapes out. I'm gonna have my kind of full training camp preview come out here Saturday or Sunday, just depending on how it shapes out. But I'm gonna have my every single battle to watch out for, biggest storylines, biggest headlines. I'm gonna have that video come out here soon, here in the next couple of days before training camp on Monday when the rookies report. So I'm very excited. I don't know about you guys. I'm very excited about the training camp. Get it done. Start preseason, then start the season in a month. So man, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'm gonna be, again, as I stated, just dropping a bunch of content for training camp, just being consistent as possible. If you guys enjoy that content, do that for me. With that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.